Hi everyone, welcome to Unofficial podcast. My name is Oleg Sapishchuk.
And I am Peter Schmalfeldt. We are doing episode number 8 today, and who's our guest, Oleg?
Our guest is amazing guy. I following his LinkedIn. I always like his posts, not because I just like the guy. I like whatever he posting, and it's really, as for me, have a valuable impact on the community. It's Abhijeet Mishra. Abhijeet, hi, hello, how are you?
Hey guys, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. So we were chatting before the podcast with Abhijeet, and were guys, it's a lot of going on here and there in terms of on-demand sandboxes, right? The people sharing their pain points. Some people love them because they give them new flexibility, new features, but most of people actually struggle with them. And today we want to unleash what we can do with them, right? What, Abhijit, you managed to do with them? What is your opinion in terms of the on-demand sandboxes? What do you think in general? Is it a good thing to the community? What happened that where those on-demand sandboxes were introduced, and how we can improve them? So let's maybe start from the very beginning, like how you actually ended up trying to solve something for the on-demand sandboxes.
Sure. So, when you said that is on-demand sandbox is good, and then I'm seeing Peter, he's shaking his head. I'm literally laughing my head off.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Not. I'm a fan, but yeah, it's like there's room for improvement for sure.
That's right. So, the one thing we realized when Salesforce moved their SFCC, whole platform to the on-demand sandboxes, the they 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 did not, or I would say the way to access the on-demand sandbox was one of the biggest challenges that most of our customers have actually faced in whoever worked with Royal Cyber. And believe it or not, it's something that it's an ongoing process. We were in constant talks with Salesforce themselves. We had George Hernandez, who had actually come in. That he's the director of cloud solutions, cloud alliances. Sorry, director of cloud alliances, George Hernandez, and he came to us and he said, like, you know, have you guys thought of on-demand sandbox? And then we is like, yes, we have, and we've been getting a lot of queries from our customers. Hey, we are now moving to the on-demand sandbox. Is there a better way to access the ODS? Is there, because they are using the CLIs, right? They are using either the SFCC CI or they're using the Swagger UI. Now, each time you use Swagger UI, you need to create a key. You need to go to the website, put in your details, get your key, come back, apply, and then the key expires, and you keep doing it. It's a repetitive process that you have to, you know, just waste of time. Literally, it's a waste of time just to get to know if your sandboxes are running, not running, stopping. All the small steps that can be done in a simple way. People have to do literally, jump through hoops to actually get it done. So so this is, and we took it really seriously. So how did we do it? We actually use Swagger. We use the RESTful APIs from Swagger and create a point and click platform. So basically all you have to do is just go to our platform, put in your API key. Obviously before that you need to register with your Salesforce account manager. Once you do that, you put in your API key, then all the realm that you're using, right? All the ODSs that are connected to that realm are visible on the platform. And with that visual that you have, you can actually go. You can create sandboxes. You can delete sandboxes. You can stop sandboxes. And obviously the best part is you can see the amount of credits being used. The one big problem that all our customers are facing, they have a limit of credits, right? How do I see the credit? How do I see the number of credit that I have right now? How do I see the number of credit that's remaining? Now that is something we actually got, and we have put in alerts. We've put in details there. So if you have, so right, when you start, you get according to the sandbox sizes, you actually get consume 2 or 1 credit. But if you stop, you use 0.5 credit, right? And until and unless you delete the whole sandbox. Now we have developers who just switch it on and then, hey, I forgot to switch it off, or I forgot to stop it. And then Salesforce then ding, 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 this is the bill. Oh my God, why am I paying something which I've not done any work on Saturdays and Sundays? Why am I paying for the credits there? And then, so this is where we created a schedule as well with our platform where someone can go and say, hey, you know what, Monday to Friday, that's it, 9 to 5, you're working, done. It get closed after that. You cannot use the sandbox after that. So you reduce the number of credits consumed, right? So these are some of the things that we have put in on our platform and that really, really helped. I mean, the likes of Tapestry, the likes of Belk, FSA Store. We have people like TJC who have come in and used our platform. And the best part is, we are giving this for free. We don't want any money out of it because this is something that we wanted to you know uh, give it to the world. It's free of cost for 1 year. Let me just let you know, it's just for free for 1 year because the easy ones, the start, stop, seeing the credits, these are all free for 1 year, and after that we will charge you something like a very minimal fee because it's on a Heroku instance. We need to pay for the Heroku instance as well, so we're going to charge you very minimum for that. But that's like an advanced features, like you have time zone reporting, or time zone usage, time zone scheduling, or if you are looking at particular on if you want to create a schedule on a particular on-demand sandbox, you can do that. You can do that with a platform as well. Those are the advanced features that we're going to charge for. But at this point of time, it's free for 1 year.
All right, I have it.
When you said about, sorry, Vida, I remember the story. My friend, he was using Amazon Cloud. You know how with Amazon Cloud it is, right? You spin up the instance and you pay for the seconds that, I think the seconds, right? The recent upgrade was actually the seconds. So you pay for those seconds you actually used. So their team forgot to turn it off from time to time. They have a glitch, and usually they used to pay pennies, like really like cents for using it. So they forgot to turn it off on the nights and the weekends, and they got like few $1,000 bill in the end of the month. Now imagine when the usual bill was like $50 to $100, and they got like $4,000 or $5,000 in the end of the month. It's huge, right? Like, I understand that some enterprises, for them, for $5,000 to pay for something, it's like for coffee or something. But if you have $50 per month and then you have a bill like $5,000, that's a lot. So I do understand like that struggle, right? That when you don't use something and you have to pay. But at the same time, like, I want to challenge this a bit, because when we had those old sandboxes, right? All those standard sandboxes, you didn't even have flexibility to stop them. You would just pay for the full month. I guess the main point is that platform provided this new flexibility to optimize the cost. There are those APIs, but in order to optimize the cost, you would have to have a team with the technical skills and backgrounds to manage all of that. And you actually like found that it's not only very technical guys have to manage that, but even for the technical guys, sometimes you want to have just UI UX and all those features and capabilities that you can manage over there. So yeah, big kudos for that one. Peter, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. So yeah, similar stories as Oleg was mentioning. So I had a client that was recently, they lost, or their main senior developer had a new opportunity and took it, and then the only person that was left that could manage their sandbox was a junior dev that just started, because it was a relatively small team, and so they needed to figure that out. And then that API is not the most intuitive thing for people to figure out, especially when there's all, like, if you're just doing it for the first time, right? Like, there's all the stuff like starting and stopping, like deleting and recreating and all that stuff. So what I'm hearing sounds amazing, but I've also honestly hadn't heard of it before. So if there's people out there like me, how would they go about taking advantage of this? Like, where do they go? Is there a website? How does that work?
So we have so it's very simple. All you have to do is just write an email to us or visit our webpage on Royal Cyber. Look for, in the search box, just write ODS. All right, the first thing that comes up, go and just register there. You let me let you know one more thing. I'm a sales guy. I'm going to be very open. I'm a sales guy. I'm a senior business development manager. Both of them here are architects. Okay, they hate us. Let me tell you that. So, but this the registration that you do, it doesn't come to me. It doesn't come to me. It goes to my architect, and my architect then brings it to me, right? If I need to connect and start talking about the other stuff. So there's the one thing that we realized was, a lot of our SIs, right? Lot of the SIs out there, S-Town, Valtech, or Royal Cyber like us, all those guys are having the same issue, and we thought that, you know, have it for free. Why not? We just go to royalcyber.com, and then in the search box just look for ODS, and the first thing that will come up will be our it'll be our ODS management platform.
I had a follow-up question for you, and then
Sure.
you so far seem to have solved most of the common problems that I was actually hearing just from what you've already described. The only other one that I know of that was an issue was there's for ODS sandboxes, there is I believe it's 10 gigabyte. Oleg might be able to correct me on that I'm wrong, but there's an actual like hard limit of available space that's on there. And if you've run into it, it's kind of like it sneaks up on you. It's a surprise, and you don't know it, and all of a sudden it just doesn't. It seems to not work. And so, does your interface like account for that or represent that?
Yes, it does. Yeah. It does. It does. So, not just that number of the size of it. When you give, if you want to run your sandbox forever, so all you have to do is give a minus sign, right? Just a negative sign, and then it'll run forever. But we give you an alert saying that we will be careful, because you're going to consume all your credits, and it's not good for you. We don't want that, right? We have put alerts if your credit limit reaches to a particular level. We have put alerts on the amount of size that you're going after, and if that is capable, if you can sustain it, right? There are people who cannot sustain a 10 gigabyte limit, right? So yeah, we've done quite a bit of work on the ODS. And the best part is we're still improving it. There's still scope of improvement. Our R&D team is still sitting on working out different use cases that we have got from different customers, and how to implement them. One was very interesting. Multiple realm. So Swagger does not allow you to do it only allows you single realm. It doesn't allow you to show on-demand sandboxes for multiple realms. And they came to us like, I have 4 RAMs. How do I use? I mean, I cannot just keep adding the API key coming back. What's the difference between Swagger and your platform? I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good question. So we went back to the drawing board and saw how we can actually get multiple RAMs to come over and show all the sandboxes from multiple RAMs as well. Then then segregate it according to the RAMs that there are there. So yeah, it's been a fun journey.
If you want one more feature idea, there's one that I just ran into. It seems like if you're doing ODS stuff, all the different teams that I've had where we've been working on ODS, it seems like there's a toss up between if you're using a data import to synchronize like custom preferences and things like that. But the one thing that's not super easy right now is like static assets, things that like images and content and things like that, where like if somebody has set up one sandbox to try to actually have most of the content in it, like getting that same content on the other sandboxes is a chore. I've used things like rclone, which is like where you can synchronize all these things. You need to write code for it, but if you've already got an interface and you can be like, make this a primary one and dispatch this to something else, that'd be amazing.
That's a good point. Actually, we have come into this space as well. We thought of using own backup. If you guys know about own backup, just create this one. But then the problem, what the biggest problem is? The Salesforce Commerce Cloud is a closed black box. You can do so much with a PaaS solution, right? If you had the infrastructure of it, if you knew what's going on in it, maybe you could visualize, could do something. But the fact that it's a black box, right? You literally create a wrapper around it and start working with that wrapper. So that's yeah.
You actually hit me that like if I would be a product owner of the solution, I would try to evolve it more in the like DevOps platform, like as you mentioned, Peter, right? I mean, if you think about this, right, like it's great as beginning to manage the sandboxes. Okay, the platform gives these capabilities. I can issue sandbox, I can manage it, I can schedule it, right? This is great. What I love on those on-demand sandboxes that I can easily kill them and issue a new one. And then we have an issue with this issuing a new one, because if you just if you spin up sandbox, it's not enough, because you have to import the data in, right? You have to import the data, the site, you have to reindex catalog and price books, you have to push code over there. But what if, like as you Peter mentioned, right? Maybe we are not talking about setting up sandbox for the developer with his own data on his, on his laptop, so he can like clone code and run npm run and do all the stuff. But let's say we're talking about sandbox for the demo, anything else, right? So the platform could have those DevOps kind of capabilities to clone the sandbox. You just like, okay, you select the sandbox and click clone. And then what it do, it spin up a new sandbox. Then it's export all the data from that original sandbox, import into a new one, run this reindex jobs, and then it's just download the code from that original sandbox and upload back to another one. Voila, you have a clone feature, right? It's like a DevOps. It's magic.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's an amazing idea. Yeah, you could actually use the Bitbucket pipeline stuff for most of this stuff to just like automate a lot of that, what's already there, but just like maybe specify different branches or whatever. Like that's a really good idea, Oleg.
So let me.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Oleg. So let me into a little secret. We have tested this with Circle CI. We were very successful, right? We are in the verge of working it with Jenkins and Bitbucket as well. We are trying to also see if we can get in, if you can use SVN and different, for source code control, so that what branches that, what sort of clone it is, and that sort of thing. So yeah, we are actually working. Rolsab is actually working on creating integration with the DevOps pipeline.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, for me, I see two parts of this feature. It's like one part is when you want to really integrate with existing code versions, right, to pull and build. But another one is like more quick and dirty. You don't need actually access to the code, because you already have built code on working sandbox. You already have a data over there. So just download and upload, and that's it. And just run reindex. It will work. You don't need anything else. You don't need actually to pull code from repositories. You don't need to run them, because it was already built and deployed to the sandbox. So if I want to just have a clone, let's say I have a business team and we want to play on the sandbox, right? They want to play on the sandbox. They don't need code on their local. They just want a copy of that sandbox that you have over there. And that's it. You can just like make anyway. What I'm trying to say, that
I was going to say there, a couple of use cases of that would actually be useful. I've run into a couple of these where we're using a company called A360 to do accessibility testing, and we run into this issue where where do they test? And so do they test in the development environment? Do they test in staging? There's more products there, so it's closest to whatever. But it's also like we don't need them to necessarily test everything. We just need to have a dedicated place that we can give them that we're not going to be like constantly changing. Because if we keep doing that while they're testing it, obviously that's a kind of a pain in the butt. But also like even individual like QA processes that when usually the kind of work that I'm doing, people are transitioning from like site genesis to the Salesforce reference architecture, and so they've got two different realms going on at the same time, and they might not have like the pig instances for development and staging and stuff like that set up yet, but they still need some place to do QA. So like, how does that work while they're transitioning? So this kind of concept is actually pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's true. Especially, when you are on the biggest pain that comes up is when you're on site genesis pipeline, not even on JavaScript controllers, not even on SFRA. When you're on pipeline, it is oh my God. I have customers coming and they're like, I don't want to move from pipeline. I was like, but why? SFRA is the new version. You anyways, that's a different story altogether.
I have a question.
Sure.
So Usually, the main first issue that people struggle with is TTL configuration when you're trying to issue the sandbox with SFCCCI. So what is TTL from technical guys? Is like default is 0. Sorry, not default. Default is in 24. So the main idea is that if you don't use your sandbox for 24 hours, it will just disappear, right?
Disappear.
So
Yes.
I know those. I know a lot of those stories when people prepare demo for the pre-sales, and someone who issued the sandbox, he forgot to create its configuration. Next day, demo, voila, we don't have a sandbox, right? Or like developers, new developer to the team. He started from the Monday. He created everything, started to do the coding, and then he comes next week on Monday because weekend for 24 hours. Boom, no sandbox, right? So just a question: how you like in your solution, right? If I issue my sandbox, will it
Mhm.
die next Monday, or you like enforce the rule that okay, it's like the sandbox will leave all the time before you will kill it?
So how we have made it work was you have to give when you create a sandbox. If you create a default sandbox, it lives forever. All right. We do give we do give a alert saying that this is not good. You have to give a time frame for it. But what we have done is at this point of time, just live it forever. But but the best practice is obviously that what we tell every customer is create a schedule. Do not do not create it for 24 hours, and then when you need it, it's gone, right? So we are very particular on that. In fact, when you create our sandbox, the first thing they ask you is the schedule. It doesn't you so you can edit a schedule that's already been created, that's for a sandbox is already there. But when you create a sandbox, you need to create a schedule. That's by default.
Okay, then logical question would be, did you ever calculate the savings you're making for the customers? Because if they don't burn those points, right? Like let's say I spin up my sandbox and I don't do any start and stop from first of the month to the end of the month, right? And then I would use your solution. Have you calculated how much savings you actually like what, because it's a value proposition of the solution,
Yes,
right? You're
yes.
saving the money. So on average, maybe I don't know, in percentages or like maybe in dollar value, you can share like what savings
Sure.
customers would get.
So one of our customers, they had 2 million credits, right? They had a total of 2 million credits. They came to us. They were somehow or the other, the 2 million credits were getting used up within 1.5 months, right? And they actually, I know, it's funny. I can see, and trust me, their SI, they had a free reign on how to use the sandbox, right? They really never cared about the credits, and the credit was on the customer, and the customer was like, I had 2 million credits and it's over in 1.5 months. What the hell are you guys doing? It's like, I don't know, you can go and check the CLI, you can go and check the Swagger UI, and then it's like there should be a better way. And then when we came into it, we started talking about about our solution, and they came back saying that every Saturday and Sunday, the sandboxes were always running 24 hours. So 48 hours of no work done on a sandbox, and it kept running 48 hours. And then if you take 48 hours and you take, say, two credits, let's take an average of 2 credits. So that's 96 credits being boom, gone. And then you have 1.5 months. So we did a calculation, and what got to, like when they started using the schedules from Monday to Friday, at least from the 2 million, they were able to save up to at least 175,000. Sorry, 1.75 million. So they had like 250,000 credit left finally at the end of the month, at the end of 2 months, 3 months, and they were able to save that much. And obviously, this is very close to the customer and Salesforce themselves. So I do not know what's the costing in terms of per credit when you go over. But take us for example. We used to, so we are an SI and we keep doing R&Ds, all right, on this. We keep spinning up ODSs. We keep, we didn't even keep a track of it. So when we got a bill of something like 30K USD for our ODS, and my boss was like, what the hell have you guys been doing? And then we was like, no, we need to do something. We implemented it on ourselves first. We tested this platform on ourselves first, and we were able to bring it down from minus 30K to within whatever credit that we had. We had like 1.1 million or something. We had to keep it in between that, and we kept it in between. So um in terms of credits, I can tell you you're saving more than at least 15 to 20% of your credits. So in terms of money value, I think that would be between you and Salesforce. So I won't be able to comment on that.
Okay. So you said that like you as a partners, you actually started to use it yourself. So
Yes.
and my question is like your platform, when you said it's free and open for everyone, did you reference only customers? Or let's say I'm a partner, right? I'm a partner and I also have some sandboxes. I don't have my own solution, even that, I mean, my next question would be, what do you feel about other solutions in the market? But anyway, let's go in the next one. So if I'm a partner, can I go and just also use your solution? Are you guys okay with this?
Yes, absolutely. The whole reason why we had that webinar with Salesforce themselves, with George Hernandez, was to announce the fact that this is open to everybody. We have our competitors come and use us. eWave from Ukraine, I'm sure you would have known about eWave Consulting. EPAM is using it. We have people from India and Pakistan, VisionNet, Systems, Sapient themselves, Sapient Publicis, they're actually using our solution. So we are not scared of giving it to any of our customers. We are happy for them to have to use it. And one more thing, since we don't store none of the data is stored on the platform. None of the data is stored. That is something we keep it very. We wanted to make it on the first day itself. There'll be no database at the behind. So whatever is running, it's real, dynamic. It's hitting the Swagger UI website and it's coming back. So it's the post and the this one. So there is no database at the back. So we don't know what's happening on your platform. We just gave it to you. You use it. If you have any issues, come back. If you want to upgrade, come back.
I was literally thinking, I'm like, that could be an interesting question, but it could also be like maybe one you don't want to answer. So I'm glad you, you just said it. Yeah, because you could do some really cool, like, software as a service people out there could be, thinking that there's all sorts of stuff you could do for analytics and
I know.
monitoring, like agencies and things like that to give them recommendations. So
No, but the fact is, when we keep a database there, its database is a cost for us as well, right? How do I, if I want to give it for free, right? And the resources I'm using, right? If I have to justify that, literally, these guys, my developers have worked throughout. Trust me, I wanted to use another word, but then they really skin. So in Hindi, घुटने घिस गए. That's what you used to say in Hindi, right? It means they have scrubbed their knees off. They literally flattened or their knees on the ODS platform. So and we wanted to make sure that none of our customers, like everyone gets to use it, and they get, and with through this platform they understand what sort of capabilities we have. They understand that we as a partner, how good are we, how good is our developers, how good are our certified Salesforce Commerce Cloud architect, lead developer, and how well they work. So
I
yeah.
actually fully agree with this one. If you like, I mean, both my hands and deeply in my soul, I'm with you here. If you open yourself to the community, give something for free, like it's this open source vibe, right? If you open, if you give it to community, it's not only that you're doing the good thing that everyone will leverage from it and it will help them, but it's also show your capabilities, how good are you in something. It's like with Peter, right? Like solution that you did for the open source, they not only help the people, but they actually showed me personally that I know that, hey, Peter is very capable with Commerce Cloud. I know that he knows the stuff because he was able to create such a complex solution that helps a lot of stuff to the community. The same with you guys, right? Having this solution and be open for everyone, it helps people. It shows that you have capabilities. And when you guys were speaking about the data, it also triggered me with Demandware with Easy. If you know that Chrome plugin that a lot of people actually use with Commerce Cloud, done by 4Point. And I know that partners there are a lot of people that actually not struggle, but they're afraid to use it because of the data, right?
Yes.
Because of the data, like data can be used by 4 anywhere. And I know that Kirill and rest of the team, they spent a lot of time to show that they don't use the data, that the way how plugin is organized is still secured in the way, but it's still that kind of thing that would stop a good adoption of your tooling. It's to show that it's secured, right? That you don't liberate the data, other stuff. And I guess the best, I mean, at least from my perspective, the best way to make the code open source, but I guess it's IP stuff, right? I mean, intellectual property. You don't want to open source all the code that you did, because maybe someone tomorrow will not be, that fair and will take it, refactor.
No, I agree. I agree. And see, my like I said, right? My developers work day in day out, right? They, like I said, they sanded their knee to the ground just to create this, because this we put our heart and soul into this. This is not a side project for Royal Cyber. This is a main project. This is one of our main reasons why we live in this SFCC world, or Salesforce Commerce Cloud world, as it is. So we so some part of it tells that, okay, I'll give you an example. The Konami owner, the old Konami owner, the guy who used to make the video games, Peter, you should be knowing him, the one who made Metal Gear
Konami
Solid.
Code. If you've ever played the cheat code, the Konami cheat code is infamous. So yeah.
The Metal Gear Solid creator of Metal Gear Solid, you know what he did? That if you look at the code of the game, and certain lines are there where the first line of each and every code actually goes back to his name. It says KA like that, and it spells out his name, the first letter of the first line of the code. He made it in such a way because he wanted to make sure the people. Konami is a brand; it's a company. But how do you know the guy who created the game? This is how he did it, right? And there were people who were able to figure it out. And I'm not doing something similar to that case. No, we're not doing that. It's just that I want to make sure that my developers, they get known. They get known for their hard work that they have done, right? And that's the reason we could have gone open source. Oh, no doubt about it. The other thing also, we wanted to make sure why it's not open source is because we were scared that we might go wrong as well. There might be certain aspects that we may be wrong, because it's a lot of hit and trial that we have done as well, with different realms, different sandboxes, different customers. So, and if to continue integrating it to a point where, hey, you know what, this is a good framework, go ahead, you make your changes. We're not there yet.
Yeah, I think the other issue you might have, I do a lot of open source software, as Oleg knows, but I think for your specific product that you're building, you also have the challenge of like how many people would actually be able to contribute, like, because I don't think there's a whole lot of experts specifically on-demand sandboxes that could even contribute if they wanted to, who also are going to be familiar with the API backend. And if it's an internal thing, you guys can actually have a little more quality control. I think the only negative side impact would be just like contributions from outside the community of concepts. I know Oleg's heard me tell multiple stories where like I've had people come up with concepts that they used the stuff that I was building in ways that I would have imagined it to be used, and then it ended up becoming a feature just because of the nature of how open source stuff works. So there is a bit of a trade-off, but I totally understand your perspective on that.
Before I ask my next question, I just want to say that thank you for the idea with the name. I didn't know about this guy, honestly. I didn't know that he included in the code, but I know that today I'm going to the Salesforce style guide of the code and I'm editing that each variable should start with OS.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, one joke on the podcast done. Yoo-hoo. Now let's go back to the serious stuff. So we talked about your solution. We talked about the problems and other stuff, but I've seen that community also comes with the other solutions, right?
Yes.
I forgot the name of the guy, but he with few of his friends, they come up with open source, open code solution for on-demand sandboxes as well. From what we discussed today, it has less features. I also know one guy from Salesforce. he also did the solution, but he didn't want to open it for anyone. He usually uses it by his own. And why I use it, that one as well is just because like he gave me access and that's it. But it's very also, it doesn't have the same super advanced feature as you have over here. I also know that some partners actually did their solution similar to yours, but from what you said, it doesn't have the same amount of features, at least when I heard about them, but they don't open it for the world, right? So what do you feel about other, let's say, competitors on the market to your solutions? Like what's your call on them?
So
Or you don't feel you have competitors, sorry.
No, we do have competitors. I'm not joking. We have come across a couple of customers who said we had this solution before. We had used such and such solution, and this was missing or that was missing. So one of the things that was missing was a credit report, right? Say if a realm-based credit report, say what's the total number of credits being utilized by each sandbox, right? And if you can give us a complete report. So that is something that we have added, and we take in feedbacks from customers for like these who have used other sandbox management portals, and we try to incorporate those things that were missing from them, and then putting it in ours. That's number one. Number two, good on you. If you have made it open source, even better. The thing is, I'm going to be so the one thing I am, if you look at me as a personality guy, my personality sticks to loyalty, right? And I wanted to make sure that Royal Cyber and Salesforce gets recognized, right? Royal Cyber especially. Let me be very open. I wanted Royal Cyber to be recognized here. Uh, we've been in the business since 2000. So it's been 21 years of e-commerce experience that we carry in Royal Cyber. And for the past 3 years, we've been working in Salesforce Commerce Cloud, and it's a cutthroat market as a service integrator, system integrator. There are so many system SIs over there, so you need to fight it out, right? Good on them for not opening up to the public or not letting, not marketing the way that we have marketed it. But we did not look at the competition as a competition. Let there be competition. We don't mind it. I don't call it as a competition. I call it as how it's like a feedback. I look at them, I compare mine, and what's missing, what's better, what's not there, what could be better. In fact, I am talking to other SIs as well who created it, and they are asking me, you know what, can you look at it? And then I look at it, I send it to my architect, and they give their feedback as well, and we give the feedback back to them. We don't keep those feedbacks, right? So it's an open thing. It's like being open source without being open source.
Sorry, just one thing. You reminded me of Toyota, like how they did similar way. They were doing pretty well with their lean approach, like which we call today Toyota way, but they could go to, let's say, to their competitors, to their fabrics, and go and tell how they actually doing the stuff. They knew they're competing on the market. There is no lie. Like in the end, like Royal Cyber, I don't know, let's say Walter could come to the same opportunity, right, as for the prospect and do the same pre-sales. You will compete over there. It's our life. It's the market where we live. But in the end, this is like, I like this culture where you actually like, you're doing this stuff. You're doing this well. So let me share it, because by sharing and listening to the feedback, I can actually make it better.
Yes.
Sorry, Peter, back to you.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah. So it's an interesting concept, Abhijeet, the loyalty thing. So one of the really interesting, regardless if it's open source or not, the fact that the matter is you're contributing solutions to the community for free, right? One of the so I work at a company called Red Van Workshop, and we started before I kind of started there. We had I think 20 people. I think we have like 100 and something now, but we didn't have any open source projects at all, and so I kind of became an advocate for any of the internal tooling that we do. That we release it to the community. If it solves our problem, it's probably going to solve someone else's problem. Whether it end up being open source or not, it's just making it available as a solution that people can go get some way. The end result of that ended up being twofold. It was people were using, other developers were using our solutions. And then when it came time for them to look for a new job, they're like, hey, I know this company and I use the stuff that they're making. Likewise, we've had clients that that are looking for systems integrations, and so it's the same thing, right? They're like, oh well, our dev teams have been using some of these products, so I guess if we had to make a choice between who to use, probably makes sense to use ones that we are familiar with. And so there is that aspect of giving back and providing solutions out there. It totally comes back to reward you. So I applaud you for your efforts there, sir.
Thank you, Peter. And let me. Red Van has come to us. They have looked at us. Yeah.
You know what? Just one thing about Peter. I know it's not main topic of our podcast, but if you didn't play the game that Peter hid it on the main website of the company, you can do it. Try to beat the score. Like literally, it's amazing
there's
stuff.
like 3 Easter eggs on our main website. Yeah, we had when I first started there, they had a website that or they were trying to work on one. So short version of that is that it was taking too long, so I just made one for them. So the Red Van website was made by me. But if you are listening to this, I'll give it away for you. Go up to the footer, and then if you click on the van down there, it has a little honky noise. But if you have childlike curiosity on that van and you click it a couple more times, you will discover a whole nother Easter egg that I'm not going to ruin what it is. But yeah, it's fun. So I posted it on LinkedIn.
Did you play Warcraft?
When like years ago, whenever
years ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. When you keep clicking on those ogres, like they keep saying different stuff, right? So I got that. I actually got to know this by Josh. Josh Linton is one of my really good friends.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had someone on LinkedIn said that they thought that they had discovered the Easter egg that I was talking about, but then they gave it to their kid, and the kid actually found the real Easter egg. And I was like, yeah, the way you just said the story is exactly right. And then you can blame my wife for that one, because the initial van sound, I gave her an iPad with the website on it. She clicked the van and made the little beep beep sound like it was an actual car horn, and I was like, "Oh, I need to make that a thing. Like that has to happen."
But that's so smart, man.
Yeah,
so
and then
nice.
now people play with it, and then if they play with it too much, then it's just like, "Oh, what is this?" It's a whole another. Yeah, it's fun. So I hope they keep it if they end up changing it.
Look, this is another idea for your product. You know, you can make those hidden gems somewhere, and then next time we speak, like what's your score? What's your score? Have you used Royal Cyber On-Demand Sandbox tool? No? You should go over there, at least for play the game.
Yeah, let me talk to my team.
And I actually have a question in terms look, you're solution integrators. That was the main business, right, for Royal Cyber?
Yes.
And now you started building your own product. How was the impact for the company as that shift? Because I know that some companies try to switch to this, like trying to build the products, but it's hard for them because the organization structure, the way how the mindset is done, it's focused on making services for the customers, right? And here you are actually have to give the value for the customer via the product itself. So how was this transformation inside the Royal Cybers, and what you struggled with and had to overcome?
Oh, 20 years, buddy. 20 years. Oh, that's the amount of time it took us to actually. We still don't have it perfect. Let me let you know, our R&D is still not perfect. But the fact that we have come across to becoming a certain mature, spitting out good number of products out there in the market is because of the 20 years of time that we have taken. I mean, Royal Cyber was there even before I joined it, right? So the history of Royal Cyber, it starts working. So they started working with IBM WebSphere Commerce. I'm sure you guys, Red Van would have really know about. You guys know about WebSphere Commerce, right? And then they kept on working with IBM. They were like, okay, just go out there in the market, sell it somehow, sell the services, reach out to people, get it. What they realized was coming into the 2008s and 9s, that strategy was not working. The cold calls were not working, right? It's not like, you just reach a guy and then you say, hey, I provide WebSphere services, and so it stopped working, or rather I didn't stop working in one day, but it's so slowly and steadily it just stopped. The recognition was not there anymore. So when we started moving towards the end of 2010, 2012, we started realizing that more and more customers are, even they, if they find certain products in the market already, they are very costly as well. So they have their own cost altogether. So if I'm working as a service provider, all right, and I have developers, why don't you develop it for me, right? We had people like David's Bridal, right? They came back and said to us that we need something called a product 360 configuration. Basically turns around the whole product in 360 directions. So they said, can you do it? I was like, yeah, sure. We just said, who would say no to new work, right? So we just said yes, and we started slowly working it out with one platform, and then we saw the success that it brought up to, and then we started spreading it to other platforms as well. That's why I'm telling you, it took 20 years for customers. It's basically how good you are with your customer. If your customer can come back and tell you his sad story, and you can solve that sad story for them, you're the best. Did it make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Definitely makes sense. So that was great. I mean, we spoke today about so much about issues and struggles with on-demand sandboxes. We talked about actually how to build your own DevOps platform, right? And we even have a few, I hope, good ideas. Maybe some of them will be implemented. Let's see in the future. No promises, right? We also talked about the savings that you can make with this solution in terms of real money, right? And this is a value proposition that you actually will save your money. That it's also open for the partners, not only for the customers. So guys, we will put in the description as well the links. Abhijeet, you will share with us right after the
Yep.
podcast, or the links, we'll put them just below the video. If you're on YouTube or on podcast, we will put this in description. Peter is, the wizard. He will figure out how to do it in the best way. And this is the time that we are usually giving our guests the prime time. It's a time when, we don't ask questions, but it's your time to speak. Abhijeet, what do you want to say to the community?
So, okay, I always wanted to say this. I am, I was not a big fan of Salesforce. Let me be open. I have seen IBM WebSphere Commerce. I've seen SAP Hybris, or SAP Commerce Cloud as it's known now. I've seen Adobe Commerce. I've seen Shopify. I've now seen Salesforce Commerce Cloud. I was at the start, I really thought that Salesforce Commerce was, it didn't have something that was different from, say, a Shopify or a Magento or a SAP Commerce. But when I started learning about it, right, I started using it. I myself have ODS. Funny to say it. I know I don't do much. I don't code. No, I don't code. So recruiters don't call me for coding. So I don't code. The fact is, I can still use the storefront. I can still use the back office. It's very easy. I give demos on my own. That's how Salesforce taught me, right? That's how the platform actually taught me. Yes, no platform out there is free from bugs. Trust me, there's a problem, a lot. The, the point is, Salesforce, they work on it, right? Okay, let me give you a trivia. Did you know how the term Apple App Store came into place? The App Store? No? Okay. Salesforce had App Exchange, right? They had App Exchange. Steve Jobs literally went and asked Mark Benioff, can I use it as an app store? Can I give my name as an app store? Right? And Mark Benioff said, go ahead, it's yours. Right? So that's how good Salesforce is. And that's the idea of Salesforce, the Ohana, expert, the word itself is what makes me excited, sometimes cry as well with some of the problems that they have, but still it's a churn out there. All those SIs out there, big, small, tiny, one-man armies, go on, keep working. You have Peter here, right? You look at where he has brought Red Band Workshop, right? He has literally, the way he, it's a different ball game. And if you are out there, work it out. Trust me, Salesforce Commerce Cloud is going to make you money.
Thank you very much. I see it as inspiration. What really hits me is Ohana. That's really what I felt as well when when actually Salesforce acquired Demandware. That's when I started to feel Ohana, because Demandware was more closed platform. Then when Salesforce came in, I felt Ohana in this community. And then when we started an official community, and this is from where we are right now sitting together and speaking today. Podcast is initiative of an official community. This is where I met Peter, actually, right? So I know this Ohana feeling is not only like inside the Salesforce, it's outside the Salesforce. It's this vibe, that sharing, that connecting the people and forcing them actually to do the great stuff. So I'm with you. I'm with you here very much. Thank you very much for today. I really love the discussion that we had. For whoever from Salesforce hearing us today, we didn't say anything bad. Always was a honest feedback. Always a honest feedback today, right? So, and it's important to hear those feedbacks. It's important to hear them, because if you don't hear, you cannot improve. That's why we need them to improve. So thank you very much for today. It was an official podcast, and we spoke today about On-Demand Sandboxes. See you next time.